What's up, everybody, and welcome to ClearTalk. So in this video, we're going to be talking about kind of updating what's going on in the Middle East, the ceasefire that seems to be holding right now, and also talk about the assessments and the conversation around the U.S. strike on Iran. Okay, because I think one thing that we need to take into consideration is that everybody, included in this, all leadership, all leaders all around the world, whenever any kind of something like, what is happening happens or whatever, they always are trying to save face. Okay. They're always trying to talk shit. They're always trying to lift up what actions they've done versus what actions were done upon them. Okay. So, everybody in this, from the U.S., Iran, Israel, everybody's talking shit. Everybody is saying stuff that, makes them look good, makes them look as good as they possibly can. But understand that that's just the way things work. That's the way things do, happens. That's that's international politics. The way the cookie crumbles, so to speak. So oftentimes when we, take everything everybody says and kind of split right down the middle, and more or less that's probably where we need to sit. Not take the extremities of any of them, kind of sit in the middle and go, this is more likely what's actually happening, and what's reasonable. So we have the United States from the get-go, right out the gate, stating how wonderful this operation was, how successful it was, that we just completely obliterated their nuclear program, and they're never going to have a nuclear weapon. You have, Israel come out with assessments stating, yes, it's obliterated, it's over, it's done. And then Iran, of course, comes out saying, actually, yes, there was damage done, but you have not stopped us. Okay. So what to believe? Like I said, I think we sit down the middle. Yes, I think we did some damage. No doubt, we did damage. But I question just how much damage. I question whether or not the program was... I don't believe the program was completely obliterated, for one. I still think they have plenty of ability to actually, have a nuclear program. I don't think that it's necessary that means that they're going to have a nuclear weapon anytime soon. I don't think they were having one to begin with. Our own intelligence said that they weren't. And that's the one thing that's amazing, is that right now, this morning, in the presser for an update from Hegseth and Kane again, it was amazing to me that the argument that Hegseth tried to give for evidence that everything was successful was our intelligence. It's amazing to me that, before, when the intelligence was going against your narrative or going against the story that you wanted to create, what you believe, that intelligence is wrong. But now that the intelligence is kind of on your side, being like, yeah, it looks like some damage was done. We've set them back for a little while. Yeah. Now we want to agree and think the intelligence is spot on. It's amazing to me. So, what we had was 12 bunkers busters dropped on 2 site points at Fordo. There were ventilation shafts systems. They stated that this morning, showed the diagram for it, where there's 3 ventilation systems, 3 ventilation tunnels that go down to parts of the facility up under the ground, and there's 2 sections of that. So 3 and 3. So that was the impact points for our bunker busters. To have the least resistance, to try to get down to the facility and do the damage that what we wanted to do, or what the military wanted to do. The idea is that we had Iran supposedly had placed slabs of concrete prior to this attack over those ventilation shafts to try to protect that from any attack, because even though Trump was acting like he wasn't going to make a decision until the last minute and trying to keep everybody on pins and needles, the problem was all that leading up to that, everything we talked about, everything that he threw on social media, on Truth Social, was hinting at the fact that we could do this. Even though it was like, I'm not going to make a decision to the last second, so you don't know what's going to happen. But yet you're still stating for days that we could potentially do something like this. Do you think that a country that, hears that is going to be like, oh, well, then we're not going to do anything until we actually see something happen, and then we'll react? Hell no. They're going to be proactive about that. So yes, clearly they were going to put as much protection over the most vulnerable parts of the facility. Clearly they were going to remove important substances from the facility, which we have already shown. They've shown that there were like a dozen trucks or more at the facility days before the attack that more than likely were removing enriched uranium from the site to move it somewhere else to protect it. That's something we've already talked about. But yet, even this morning, Hegseth did not want to talk about that. He bounced around the question on that. Well, we have no reason to believe. We have every reason to think that it was there. We don't think that they, we don't think that they moved it. But you have no proof. You literally, we've seen this, but you don't want to address that. Well, we don't know what they were doing. We did the. You're trying to bring the question. You're trying to act like that we don't have the ability to do what we said we did. You're trying to make our personnel. You're trying to make these great fighters and these great our military personnel that did this mission and performed it flawlessly. That they are not what they are. You're trying to make them look bad, and what you should be doing is lifting them up and praising them for the good job, well done, and blah blah blah. As if that has anything to do with what was questioned. For starters, real quick, to disagree that or put into question the ability of a bomb, or to disagree with the mission itself in general, the premise behind it, is not the same and does not equate then to us disagreeing or not approving of or thinking a lack of ability of our personnel, of our military people. That's not the same. So let's not pretend like it is. We all know how good our military is. We know how good the people that are in it, how well they're trained and all that. Okay? We know that they have the ability to carry out a mission. No problem. It doesn't mean that what's used in the mission is then 100% accurate and 100% performs the way we expect it to, because this is something that has never been used before, and for this type of thing, it's never been used militarily. It's only been tested. And while, yes, we have results from testing, the 30,000-pound bunker busters has never been used in actual real-world operation. This is the first time. And now, we could talk about how that's something that obviously I'm sure people wanted to happen. We wanted to act, I'm sure there was people who were pushing probably for a long time for us to be able to use this in some type of World War, event or purpose. And we finally now found a reason to use them. But nevertheless, that doesn't mean, like I said, that doesn't mean for us that we question our ability. We know we know where our military can do. So, all right, assessments come out that are questioning it, and they're trying to make publications that are putting this out there, trying to make them feel bad. Okay, whatever. That's ridiculous. So what they're trying to do is give, prep up all the, information and try to make it look like we did everything that we were supposed to do. Except for now, instead of it being like we have, that we completely obliterated and they're never going to have a nuclear program. Now it's, well, we've set them back an unknown amount of years. Oh, so you're admitting that we don't completely know how much, damage was done. Because, if complete damage was done, then, they wouldn't have any possibility of nuclear ability. They'd have to completely rebuild, right? But no, we've just set them back a few years possibly, which we already knew that they were a few years from actually having a weapon. So now I guess we're just set them back from having a program period maybe for a few years. But that's still, that's still not going to keep them from trying to have a program. We don't have a deal with them still. So what's the actual accomplishment here? We've had a ceasefire. Now, I think going on the third day, that was brokered or at least rhetorically placed out there by Trump. And I think it was kind of something that was somewhat force of hand by him, throwing it out there publicly, even though initial reports after that was that Iran and Israel were like, what? What are you talking about? And then, of course, both of them come out. Oh, yeah, that agreement. Yeah, okay, all right. Although there were reports also that Israel was starting to get a little low on their defensive, missiles and stuff, and so they were kind of, to some degree, looking for at least a slowdown. Iran was clearly looking for a slowdown as well, because they were having a harder time, with as much damage that was done to a lot of facilities and stuff, a lot of ability for them to launch stuff. Both parties were looking for a way to slow down at least. So this did give them that. And at the same time, I talked about in the video previously how Trump, it's clear to me that he thinks that this is some sort of television show, some kind of script, like a soap opera. And he gets to write things. It's a way of entertainment. And I think the script, when he placed out about, oh, this is the 12-day, this would further be known as the 12-day war, and it just coincidentally allowed things to ceasefire and stop right when he was getting ready to go to NATO, just conveniently, so that then he could go to NATO and be like, hey, look, guys, I stopped the war. Praise me. It gave a good storyline. And I think that's the reason why he pushed so hard. We had the infamous press talk briefing or whatever questions on the I think it was on the White House lawn before getting on the helicopter, where he, infamously for the first time, a president, I think, has dropped the F-bomb to press when he stated that Israel and Iran have been fighting each other so long that they don't know what the fuck they're fighting about or what the fuck they're doing or something like that. Which to that I might to some degree agree. But he also was condemning Israel pretty hard. And that's because of the early on, like, initial strikes that happened right as the ceasefire was supposed to be initiating, that he stated Iran kind of did accidentally, and then Israel was attempting to retaliate against it, and he was saying, no, that was ridiculous. I want a ceasefire. And the reason why is because it's going to make him look bad. I mean, he's brokering this. He threw that out there, and if you go against it, it makes him look bad, and that's not the image that he wanted. He wants the image that he stopped stuff, so he condemned them as he does anybody who goes against what he says. He, talks shit to them, as if they're just the most horrible people. Now, don't get me wrong, Israel is pretty horrible, but it's weird to, I said, though, to give him, if I feel that somebody needs credit given, I'll give them credit. So I give him credit for actually stating it out and the ceasefire happening. I don't agree with the reasoning, but I'm glad it's happening. So, it should have never been going on to begin with, though, and that's the thing. He talked so much about how he would not have wars happen and that, he would keep them from happening, but yet we did have 12 days. And it was something that he could have stopped from the beginning, could have prevented from the beginning, if we were to just not been so petty about a deal. So, yes, partial credit. Okay, I tip my hat a little bit, but, let's not act like this was candy canes and unicorns or something. Like this was the most wonderful thing that ever happened. You didn't make a deal. You still have not made a deal. You even talked days before that we weren't looking for a ceasefire. We were looking for more than a ceasefire, but yet so far that's all we've got is a ceasefire. We don't have a deal. We don't have a plan. We don't have any kind of conclusion to this yet. You still have an Israel who is aching to continue. And don't think that they won't consider it, especially now that there's reports of the Israel's prosecutors and stuff like that, or it's starting to look back. It's starting to ramp back up the trials and stuff on Netanyahu, because they're looking at this as like, okay, everything's kind of calm right now, and we need to get this going again because we don't agree with what Netanyahu's been doing. I mean, because they took some hits. People died, damage was done, and in the name of what? Israel initiated it. So there's a lot of people that are not really happy with Netanyahu. And then, of course, Trump comes out, oh, how dare they? It's just a manhunt, just like the Democrats did to me. Ha 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 ha. He's not. They shouldn't be messing with him, just like they shouldn't have been messing with me. Trump's going to protect his own. He's going to protect similar people to him. We've seen that over and over again. But like I said, yes, we have a ceasefire, and that's good. Okay, that's good. But nothing else has been accomplished. So let's not pretend while the administration is sitting here puffing their chest as if they've done something. Nothing has actually really been accomplished. You do not have a deal. There's still the ability for Iran to enrich, which honestly they have all the right to do. But I'm just saying, according to you, your purpose in this was to have them not, and to pull them into a deal, but you have not gotten that. So let's stop bumping our chest. Okay, you need to stop bumping your chest because you haven't really done anything. You haven't really accomplished anything. You still have a rogue nation over there in Israel who is biting at the teeth to continue what was going on, to continue what they've done in Gaza, continue what they've done in the West Bank, which they are, people are still dying in Gaza every day and still, humanitarian issues there every day. The further, further goings on in the West Bank, continuing to take land, continuing to, bump up operations there. A nation, quite frankly, just completely out of control. What are we doing here? The ceasefire only gave Trump a good storyline, something for a show, so he could go to NATO. He didn't want to go to NATO with all this going on because he knew that would be a big issue and would be hard to, have the negotiations or to have the talks about, commitments here and there when most of NATO was upset with the U.S. and how things were going in the Middle East. So he needed something to save face and look, hey, I stopped it. It's all good. But for all your reasoning behind all of this, you have still not accomplished anything. So now I still leave the question, what's next? What's next? Because it's clearly not over. And that is the biggest concern. What's next? Let me know what you think in the comments. And just wonder what happens next. Peace. ClearTalk. I'm out.